Hi, I'm Paul Chartier. This still is Heart of Gold. We have with us a special guest, Karen Boudreau from the Down Syndrome Association of Central Kentucky. Did I get that right?
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
You have a beautiful daughter
Thank you.
who has Down syndrome. How's it going?
It's going great.
Good.
It's going great.
Good.
She just turned 13 last month, and she is as busy as any 13-year-old across the board with cheerleading, and she does dance at different times of the year, and swim team, and you name it.
And I've watched her grow up. And what a sweet child.
Thank you. Thank you.
We all either know or have seen children with Down syndrome, and it's a physical thing that you can see. And as a parent, when it first occurs to you that this is something you're going to embark upon, how do you react?
How do you react? You know, I think that depends on the individual. Some people find out prenatally, and then some people find out at birth. And so that, affects oftentimes your past experiences come into play. What you think or what you've seen, a child with Down syndrome, their lives that you may have been involved with. Oftentimes you may be in shock just because you weren't expecting that. But the good news is you go into the hospital to have a baby, and you get to go home with a loving baby.
Yep.
And I think that's what people sometimes forget, that we embrace our children. Our children are born with an extra chromosome, okay, which changes their development somewhat in that it slows them down a bit. And it's called Down syndrome. You may also hear it referred to as trisomy 21, okay? But that does not mean that they cannot learn. In fact, they learn. We start our children with early intervention. We started at 8 weeks. At the time, we lived in Nashville, so we started her with Vanderbilt, with speech therapy, and that would be like feeding, learning to eat, and different physical therapies and that sort of thing. We also have had developmental interventionists come in the home and talk with the family and incorporate the family as a group in therapy. And what you don't realize is that, as the old saying goes, to receive much, you must give much. Well, the more you give, and everybody in the family gives, really the benefit is everybody gets and receives. And I think people don't always see it that way because they're dealing with either no information, lack of information, or incorrect information when there's a diagnosis.
You shared a startling number of how many children actually become born with Down syndrome. Share that number.
Okay, well, the national average is that 1 in 733 babies are born with Down syndrome. The average, if you're asking me, of a prenatal diagnosis, a definitive prenatal diagnosis, of those that have a diagnosis prenatally, 90% abort as a rule. And so, fortunately, there's just been a law passed this spring, and you may have read about it in the paper in the state of Kentucky, that says at this point, upon a diagnosis of Down syndrome, a physician or medical provider shall provide information of the lifespan of an individual with Down syndrome, along with the support group, local and national, so that they can have the support and have balanced information about Down syndrome. In the past, oftentimes people were just left to find out whatever they could find on their own. Okay, or a bias, not necessarily biased, they just may not have gotten information that they needed. And so they were just left to wonder.
Is the thinking of the parents that this child is going to be a burden? Or what's the thinking that they think that's the best alternative and not allow the child to be born?
I think oftentimes it's just education. Honestly, I think we're not here to judge anybody. We're just simply here to celebrate our children,
right,
and to show the love that they have come with for our families. And honestly, I've said this, for years, and you've probably heard me say it. We gain as much or more knowledge from our children, any of our children, whether they have a special need or not. You know that from having your own son. So the more time you spend whether you're working or training for a marathon, the more you get out of this. So there's really so much opportunity there to grow for everybody.
Don't we all aim in our lives to be happy?
Yes, we do.
So why take a child that's going to give us a huge amount of happiness and not allow that to happen? Why cheat ourselves that opportunity? I don't understand it. And you're right, it's lack of education.
I think it's that, and you don't always know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't had the experience, or if you've not seen a positive experience, then you might have a negative viewpoint.
So let's talk about the association,
Mm-hmm.
the website, and then how people can get hold of you, and then what the association does.
The association does several things. The first thing, our mission is to celebrate our children with Down syndrome, to support our children or adults with Down syndrome through the lifespan, and our families. We have communication with our families on a regular basis. We have weekly emails that go out. We have a website that you can access information at www.dsack.org. We have monthly meetings. We have separated or certain support groups for like 0 to 3 or new families. And then you have your elementary groups, your middle school, your high school, your adult groups. So we have each one of those that are specialized as well. Then we have family summer parties. We have the Buddy Walk, which you may have attended. And this year it's going to be November 2nd at the Lexington Center, which we're all excited, and it continues to grow. This will be our 11th year. And we provide information at this particular Buddy Walk to people all over Central and Eastern Kentucky on resources, all kinds of opportunities. That we partner with UK with different programs that they may have with research and that sort of thing. So we just want to let this be an educational opportunity as well as a celebration. It's a fundraiser. We have a great time.
How active is your chapter, your association? How many members do you have?
That's hard to measure because some members are more, we have people that get our newsletter from, all over the place. So that I'd be hard pressed to say an exact number of, certain members that we have. But we have people involved, all over the state.
So a pregnant woman is sitting right here and now knows that her child will be born Down syndrome. What do you say to her?
Congratulations on your beautiful baby. I guess, say what you will, but I think things happen for a reason. I think things happen in order, and we celebrate, life. So, so at any rate, we do educate in this situation. I had lunch the other day, about a month ago, with a mom who was expecting and a mom who just had a 6-week-old baby with Down syndrome. And after we exchanged information, everybody's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, the opportunities, and we need to get the therapy going. With early intervention, education, our kids can do many things. And as our geneticist told our family, she'll do everything that your other girls do. And Megan McCormick, a friend of ours who has Down syndrome, she's scheduled to graduate in 2 weeks from BCTC. She graduated from Tate's Creek. So, the sky's the limit for our children.
And there's no one company, but functionally, what can they do in the workforce for different companies?
You know what? Fortunately, there's a program with the University of Kentucky called the SHEP program, and they are working with our children to look exactly at what their strengths are, and we build on those strengths. So we try to look at their strengths and what they might want to do, and we work with companies on what they may need to try to create a match. So we train the kids or the adults, and we also train the companies to work together.
Give me some examples of those companies.
I'm not sure. Right off the top of my head, I don't know exactly. But like we have some of the school systems, that we, like Megan's working with doing her student teaching, and she'll graduate, with her 2-year degree and that sort of thing. So I don't know offhand because I'm not, directly involved with that, but just set up with it.
As an observer of companies and people and organizations, companies that might have a barrier up that don't know, it's education. But for companies that will allow anybody to come and work for them and contribute, as a consumer, I love those companies.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And recently, I read an article that Walgreens was really big on working with people with disabilities, and I think hats off to Walgreens, you know, and any other company. And if a company is interested in working with an individual, but they really, you know, want to know something, the how-tos on, you know, how to work together, you know, we'll be more than happy to make that connection and make that happen. And I think there are not enough companies out there that maybe they're willing, maybe they just don't know how. And maybe there are people out there that would be willing to work, but we just need to bring those two together.
We're going to show the website, and if you're a company and you want to know if these people can work for you, go to that website, because training's involved, and these are human beings. And what makes us think we're better than anybody else, especially people with any kind of condition.
That's right. That's right. And the one thing I will say is there is a website called brightertomorrows.org, and it is a research, or a partnership, I should say, that we've done with the University of Kentucky on some of our individuals with Down syndrome and their lifespan. And if anybody is interested in looking at the information there, they'll get a little bit of a background, and you know, it might increase their education on Down syndrome and their comfort level. If they know a family member or neighbor or somebody they may go to church with that has a child or is expecting a child.
So Karen Boudreau, Carrie couldn't be here, but thank you for sharing Kate with us, because she is a joy, she's happy, she's loving, she's lovely, and good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you for not being in the 90%.
Thank you. We're blessed.
And we are too, one generation away. I am Paul Chartier. This has been Heart of Gold. Please go to the website, educate yourself, because these are loving people, and do yourself a favor and make your day. Thank you very much.